With the NFL draft just a day away, let's talk about some of the players who are supposed to be going in the first round and whether or not we're going to see some surprises at each position. So starting off things with the quarterback spots, we got Bryce Young, expected to be the first quarterback off the board, but things could surprise us here. But he is one of the top quarterbacks, has a fast mental processor. He's accurate downfield. He's a little bit light in the pants, but he's expected to be one of the top prospects. The other top prospect everyone's looking at here is C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. There has been some rumors saying that he might fall, but more than likely those are just rumors, and he'll probably still receive top-tier draft capital. Probably either going to be the QB1 or QB2 in this year's draft. Bigger quarterback with a strong arm, with a good history at Ohio State, and looks like he's going to be on the verge of getting top-tier draft cap. Everybody's got their eyes on the lookout for Anthony Richardson. He's got the size, adjusted athleticism that you want for a quarterback when it comes for fantasy football. This could be a guy that just breaks the game. However, he doesn't have much experience at the college position, and he's still a developmental piece, but the upside's so grand that you can't ignore him. There are rumors or intuitions that he might fall in the draft, but he could also get top-tier draft capital as well. He's a guy everyone's keeping their eye on because he's a big-name guy who could do some big-name things if everything hits his way. Another quarterback who go anywhere in round one is Will Levis. And look for him to be drafted somewhere in the top 10. But with NFL drafts being NFL drafts, you never know what's going to happen. This guy's got a big arm. There are questions about his decision-making abilities, but he does have the talent. He is being talked among all the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. So he is a player that you're going to see on draft day on Thursday night. One surprise player who's been rising boards as of late is Hendon Hooker. There's a chance he might get drafted in the first round, or it could be rumors on that, and he just stays there in the second round. But Hendon Hooker has been productive at Tennessee, though he's been in a gimmicky offense. He's coming back from an ACL injury and is 25 years old, making him an older prospect for the position, so that would deflate his value a little bit, but nonetheless, prior to the ACL injury, he was considered a first-round pick, so that might come back to fruition when we get to draft night, depending on what these NFL teams want to do. When we look at the quarterback position as a whole, we shouldn't expect any other surprises. None of the other guys are going to jump up to the first round. We pretty much know what we're going to get. We just need to know where they're going to go in the first round. Going over to the running back position, we're always going to be talking about Bijan Robinson. The generational talent here led all college football in missed tackles. Will be the first running back selected. I can bet my life on that. He's going to be in the first round. Where's he going to go? He could be top 10. He could be in the back half. It's been highly debated all offseason. How is the NFL going to evaluate the running back position, especially with a generational talent? There is one running back that could sneak into the first round of this year's draft, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. Look for him, if he does sneak in the first round, be in the back half of the first round, and look for him to go to a team that's planning to use him. This will definitely elevate his draft capital, considering he's a running back getting first round draft capital. And if he doesn't go in the first round, look for him to get good draft capital early in the second round. Should be the second running back off the board, at worst the third one. Just like the quarterback position, we shouldn't have any surprises at the running back spots. Those should be the only two players we should be talking about for the first round, considering the running back position has been devalued throughout the years. Even though you're a top tier talent, you're still going to fall a little bit compared to where you're talented at. However, things could happen, but I highly doubt it. Expect no surprises at the running back position, especially late in the draft. Moving to the wide receiver spot, this is a very interesting wide receiver class. Not as talented as some other classes, but we're still going to have some first rounders. Possibly the first wide receiver off the board here is Jackson Smith-Njigba. He did not play last year. Well, he played on a limited basis, but he made his money in 2021 where he was very productive. Had that big game against Utah, although that was against backup quarterbacks due to injuries. Jackson Smith-Njigba's got the talent. He can play in the slots. He's a very good route runner, good hands. Very nuanced player. Look for him to get drafted somewhere in the middle of the first round. The highest probably back end of the 10 spot, but probably somewhere in the middle of the first round. Jordan Addison is another wide receiver you need to be looking at on Thursday nights. Good production profile, good athleticism, good hands, very nuanced, good tape. Size is a big question. There have been some rumors saying that some of these wide receivers might fall out of the first round, and that might be due to the size limitations. But Jordan Addison should be pegged in the first round. I think he's got very, 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 very good odds getting selected, and that should be somewhere to the middle of the back half portion. Should be landing with a good ball club as well that could fuel his fantasy production. Another wide receiver here who's been gaining steam all off season long is Zay Flowers, and he could be the second wide receiver selected, third wide receiver selected, but expect him to go somewhere in the middle to late part of the first round, possibly in the territory where he just goes to a good team, getting good opportunity. He's a guy that can get you air yards. He's also very nuanced. And then we got Quentin Johnston from TCU, hotly debated wide receiver here. Due to what we see on tape, some people don't like him because he does not create that clear-cut separation. Some people like him due to what he does after the catch. We get to see what the NFL thinks about him on Thursday nights. He could be going in the first round. He could be one of these wide receivers that falls out, or none of these wide receivers fall out. But watch where he goes in the draft, because that's really going to dictate his fantasy value. Another wide receiver here, he's been mocked in the first round a lot, but there's a good chance he falls to the second here, and that's Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. Dude's a deep threat speed, can really burn defenses. That might create some alert to his prospect profile. Might be better for actual NFL as a clear-out guy than for fantasy, but if he's paired with the right quarterback, then that could create a lot of potential air yards. But if he gets drafted in the first round, expect him to get opportunity early. But there's also a good chance he goes somewhere in the second, so watch for him. Wide receiver is the position where we might see some surprises, because this is a very ambiguous group. We don't have many big guys here. We have Jack Smith-Njigba, who's got some size, but mostly a slot receiver due to him playing 90% of his snaps in the slot. Jordan Addison, small. Zay Flowers, small. Jalen Hyatt, small. We got a lot of smaller wide receivers here. So a guy like Jonathan Mingo, Cedric Tillman, or maybe another wide receiver like that could sneak up on us, and if that happens, that's somewhere in the back end, 31-30, 29-28, one of those picks, someone trading up, making sure they get their guy, something that we're not betting on, but could surprise us. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't think so, but we also didn't think Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to get drafted in the first round either, and things happen in drafts, and we have to really acknowledge that there could be a surprise, especially with an ambiguous group here at the wide receiver spot. Another thing that could surprise us, that we could only see 2 or 3 wide receivers drafted in the first round. I look for the top guys to get drafted, but there has been rumors about that from big media outlets that's came out over the last few weeks, so you really can't discount it. I'm not predicting it, but it is in the realm of possibilities. Looking over to the tight end spot, and we got some dudes in this year's class. More than likely, we'll have at least 2 tight ends come off the board. Dalton Kincaid, very good route runner from Utah, can really create separation, see those targets. Look for him to get drafted somewhere in the middle of the draft, possibly the first tight end off the board, maybe to Green Bay, maybe to the Commanders, maybe to a team that really needs a tight end. Good guy to use in the passing game. Another guy that we're going to see using the passing game that's going to get drafted in the first round is Michael Mayer. He could be the first tight end off the board or the second. These guys are going to flip and flop with each other, but he has been a very nuanced player over the course of his career, has been productive since day one at Notre Dame, so he does have the receiving prowess. A lot of people are down to him due to what he posted at the Combine, but honestly, when you look at the numbers, he's more than athletic enough. Not top tier production when it comes to athleticism, but those receiving numbers from his production profile is really good. And he's a guy that can help his NFL team on day one. Look for him to get drafted somewhere into the middle, maybe even the latter part of the draft, but he's not going to go too late either. So watch where he goes in the draft, because that could really impact fantasy sooner than later. We could see a third tight end come off the board, especially in the later part of the first round, as people are trying to rearrange their boards, trying to get ready for day 2 and trying to move up to get their guy. Luke Musgrave and Darnell Washington from Georgia. Those two tight ends are guys that could prop up there in the first round, if not go early to mid-second round. So be on the lookout for those guys. Both those guys are highly athletic. Both those guys can really make an impact for their teams early in their career, and they are very, very good tight end prospects. On the board here, we have a deep tight end class. You're going to catch good tight ends in the third and fourth round of this year's draft, deeper than last year, and we had some good players come out of last year's draft at the tight end spot. So be on the lookout for some of these tight ends. But the first round, we should have some good ones come off the board. But this is an overview of the first round on Thursday that we could see of these players that are impacting our dynasty leagues and fantasy football. Let me know in the comments below who you're looking to draft, who you think falls, who you think could be the surprise of the draft as well, because things are going to go according to all those mock drafts. Those are just groupthink on paper, so you know something crazy might happen tomorrow night. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.